Texans doing the same thing they were doing a year ago. Is that a good thing? An extension for Danielle Hunter, but a lot of thoughts emerge. Very active day for the Texans, less than a few days away from free agency. Let's feast.
Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top two and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways.
Another active day for the Texans. It was an active day before an hour ago, but it got even more active as the day went on. It is the Locker Room, number one source for Texans digital content. The Texans on Monday, they make 2 trades. Yesterday, relatively quiet, although teams around them making moves. We'll touch on that. And then today, you had an extension, you had a restructure, you had a finalized coaching staff, and then you had an extension to not an extension, a re-signing originally, big Trent, and then now you have a extension after you already gave a guy an extension and he hasn't played on that extension. It is the Locker Room, number one source for Texans digital content. We're going to start off right off the top. Danielle Hunter, he gets another extension from the Houston Texans. I'll tell you, I'm surprised. We talked about this, and I want to give some flowers to the only person that I listen to when it comes to money things with the Texans. I know a lot of people are kind of intruding his space and using his resources to kind of try to act like they're cap guys. But there's one cap guy that I go to when it comes to the Texans, and that is none other than Texans Cap. And Texans Cap pulled up a tweet from February in which he said that he believed Danielle Hunter wanted an extension and was going to get an extension. So there you go. Props to the Cap for being right. And I'll pull up the receipt here just so I can give you all a little visual. This was Texans Cap in February talking about Danielle Hunter and a basic restructure, but that he wanted another extension. And my thing is this. I think there's a couple of ways to look at this when it comes to Danielle Hunter. Here's my thing when it comes to Danielle Hunter. I think there's a portion of the fan base that sees this and automatically thinks, awesome, they're bringing back Danielle Hunter. That guy's a really good player. He's awesome. I saw him last year. There's no way they're as good as they were last year. And their defense was so great, and he was such a big part of it. And there were times in the most crucial of games where he was the best player on the field and all that. That's true. But here's the thing. He was already under contract next year. They already signed him to a 2-year deal, which was very expensive. The most money that they've ever given a free agent. And then halfway through that deal, they gave him an original, the first extension, which was for $35.6 million, which I think was close to the top 5 highest paid defensive ends in the game before you saw a guy Danielle Hunter's age go out there and play. Now, he played well. So they ended up looking pretty smart with the original extension at $35.6 million. They ended up looking pretty smart. So what do they do then? For the second time, they turn a bargain into somewhat of a risk, and they give him an extension. And some will say, well, this might have saved a lot of cap space. I think Texans Cap said this is like a $4 million savings with a Danielle Hunter extension. So this is not like an extreme saving type of move. What this is you signed one deal that ended up being a bargain. You gave him another deal before the original bargain was done, and then now you're doing the same thing again, fully guaranteed for a guy in his 30s with Will Anderson about to get paid, and eventually that's going to kick in. Okay. I guess that is a smart decision. I mean, no, I don't guess that is a smart decision. I think it's a little bit wild. And I think if you were there's a couple of ways that you can look at this as to why the Texans would do this. Number one, Danielle Hunter's awesome. I want to make that very clear. Danielle Hunter's awesome. But eventually you gotta be able to let awesome guys go once you're having to pay guys top level money when it comes to extensions. Like eventually that's got to happen, I think. But it's not going to happen with Danielle Hunter for 2 more years. He's going to be into his 30s. And as awesome as he's been, like each year, it becomes more and more likely that inevitably Father Time catches up. Now, Danielle Hunter also takes care of his body better than any other player. So he has aged well. But I think the initial reaction was, oh, good. We're keeping Danielle Hunter. You already had him under contract. So that's first and foremost right there. Other thing is, maybe CJ Stroud, the lack of confidence in CJ Stroud, the fact that you're not giving CJ Stroud a contract extension, maybe that kind of factors into this. Maybe that factors into it. And they automatically assume, okay, we're not going to be paying. They don't see a vision where they're paying CJ Stroud $50 million. Even in the best case, like Nick Caserio has basically praised everything on the offense. And maybe that's the other case. And the other element of this is, and we've known this is a defensive-minded coach. This is a defensive-minded football team, and the gap between the defense and the offense has been apparent for the last 2 years. So they're going to invest on the defensive side of the ball, despite the fact they get the most out of that side of the ball, no matter what it is. They're going to invest. That's what they're going to do. They're going to absolutely invest on that side of the rock. And that's what they're doing. It could be a lot worse. You could do it with a lot worse players, but that's just the apparent and obvious part of this thing. This is a defensive-minded team, and they're doing the exact same thing that they did last year. Now, here is the other part of this. There are a lot of people who were disappointed with the way that the Texans addressed the offensive line last year. Bargain shopping is what we hear. Bargain shopping. Okay. Do you think that's going to change? Because this is the second straight year that they've traded someone on the offensive line, and I've supported both of those moves. In fairness, I've supported both of those moves. I think the price tag for Laramie Tunsil, I don't think he makes anyone else better. I think that was a fine trade. Said so before, say so after. Same thing with Titus Howard. If that's what the market demanded for Titus Howard, what the Browns gave him, so be it. Not great at guard, not great at tackle, can play both, was a lot of value, but not that much value. But this is the second straight year that they've traded who many people would maybe consider, and I think Caserio's even said it, their best lineman, and their follow-up move was to give Danielle Hunter an extension when you still had him under contract. That's a little bit interesting. And it's also kind of symbolic of where the investments are going. Defense. Danielle Hunter right now, absolute freak. He's going to be 32 this season. He's going to turn 32. And then he's going to turn 33 the next season. Like eventually it's going to catch up. And they're going to be paying premium. And they proactively did this because they are a defensive-minded football team. But the other question I have here is, what kind of precedent does this set? What kind of precedent does this set? Because it's not my job to worry about the front office, but I'm going to play agent in a second. And it's not my job to make the Texans' life easy. It's not my job to be the vibes guy. I know there's some people like that's not my job. I'll talk about the players when they play well. I'll talk about them when they play bad. That's kind of the deal. And I understand the organizational point of view and I understand the player point of view, but there is someone who should be looking at this very, very closely. Very, very closely. I'll tell you who after we go to the chat.
Swarm.
Christian says, when are we going to Austin? We're probably going to Austin next year. The following in Austin is very, very strong. So we're probably going to go to Austin next year. We'll let you know when and where months down the line. But me and Stoots will probably be going there sometime next year. Texans Takeover says, token appreciation for your work. I don't get the pessimism. Freed $14 million and didn't mortgage any potential future spending. Just enhanced free agent potential. You definitely mortgaged free agent future spending. I mean, that just naturally happens. You freed up. Was it 14 million or was it 4 million? What did Texans cap say? What was the final number of the free up? All right, so now you have 18 million. I think you had like 14, 16 mil, and this doesn't even count Trent Brown. So yeah, you have. I'll pull this up because we had your 14 mil. I don't know where that is. Maybe I'm not smart enough to see it, but this is the over the cap. I'm sure someone will take this and create it like a weird database over it, but this is where you're at right now when it comes to the cap, the rollover, the adjustment, all that with the cap. So 14 mil. They've cleared space today. I know with Stingley. This does not include Trent Brown. Pushing up over 22 million. So they push up on the day. But yeah, he has the whole table, all that. So yeah, there you go. It's 14 mil and it pushes back. So yeah, they can function in free agency. So there you go. You basically consolidated the credit. But yeah, when you consolidated it does have the back end impact. The pessimism it's not pessimism. I mean, you had him under contract. Like it just seems like there's some other stuff you could have done here to figure out cap space. That's my thing. Like have you ever been in fantasy football? I'm sure most of you have been in fantasy football. When you make a trade and you get a steal, like before it happens, do you go back and say, nah, I want to make this fair for you? If you get bargains, take advantage of your bargains. Like getting Danielle Hunter on a 1-year deal heading into next season, you basically franchise tagged him for cheaper than what that would have cost, and now you're doing it again. I think you just want to see some resources on the offensive side of the rock, but we'll see what they do with it. ESG Soccer says, why do we have to be 20% of our salary and dead cap? I don't know. There's a lot of teams who do that. I won't criticize that too much. We ain't upgrading the O-line, officially worried. Don't really blame you there. Castro76 says, I don't think the Texans can protect Joke Stroud enough to fix him. They don't have the cap space to do it. Well, he's just got to be better. The way in which the dead cap just gets pushed back, people. Like this is like being in how much ever credit card debt, pushing it back and then going on a shopping spree, enjoying the benefits and then pushing it back. So there's definitely long-term implications of this the more you push it around. Maybe they're just looking at the CJ Stroud thing as kind of a they should have gone further than they did. He had to be better. And the defense they look at as an asset. I do find it interesting that, when you talk about CJ Stroud's surroundings, first of all, they weren't being heavily criticized last year until he choked. And I know most people kind of have a good grasp of that, but they weren't being criticized last year until he choked and he wet the bed. But an elite defense is a good asset. Like I see kind of like the the layout of what CJ Stroud did and what he is, and it's like, well, he had a bad offensive line and he didn't have Nico Collins and Dalton Schultz went out and OC and all that. He also had an elite defense, which I think is a good asset. So that's where the Texans are at. They're spending money. It's deja vu. It's Danielle Hunter. Here's what I would do though, right now, if I'm watching this. If I wanted to put myself in the foot of in the place of someone else, because I always try to look at it from the organizational POV, from the player POV, and from the fan POV, although fan is like a wide range of mindsets. Organizations and players have different mindsets, but for the most part, like you can kind of understand the player trying to get as much money as possible and the organization trying to manage their assets as well as possible. But if I'm sitting here, the person that I think should be the most provide the biggest reaction by this, if I'm Tommy Togiai, I'm telling my agent to play some hardball. I'm telling my agent to play some hardball. Tommy Togiai was one of the best players on that defense last year. And I actually thought that the Texans did a really good job in early September last year of saying, hey, Tommy, would you like an extension? We want to sign you. It looks brilliant right now. Because if Tommy Togiai were on the market right now, he's damn sure getting more than $3 million. And that's what his contract is. It's up to $3 million. Tommy Togiai signed the exact same contract that Trent Brown signed last year when he was injured, and there were questions about if he could even play. Tommy Togiai literally signed that same contract for the upcoming season. He's in his 20s. He's a DT. He was a huge part of what the Texans did. And they've set a precedent with Danielle Hunter where Danielle Hunter got an extension early last season too when he was still under contract. It was for much more. And then Danielle Hunter's older, and Danielle Hunter gets a second extension on top of that. Now, maybe you can say, well, it's similar and it frees up space. I can promise you this. Any extension that Tommy Togiai gets is not going to free up space, especially when you're paying him up to $3 million. So if I'm Tommy Togiai, I'm playing hardball, and I'm saying, I don't know if it's a holdout. I don't know if it's whatever. You're going to have to give me 210, 212, maybe even more for what he did. He's also the only defensive tackle that you have under contract right now. So he has all the leverage in the world. There's a chance Tommy Togiai, if he hit the market, he might make 8 figures from somebody, including the Texans. I thought they did a really good job of getting the bargain. I thought they did a weird job at first with Danielle Hunter, but it ended up being good. And then they just basically said, forget that, and pushed it back. So if this precedent is set and this is what it is, and we're taking care of our guys on that side of the rock, like if Danielle Hunter leaves, you still have Will Anderson. Will Anderson's about to be the de facto face of the franchise. He's about to be one of the highest paid defensive players in the entire NFL. So you actually have like a long-term plan on the edge. If Tommy Togiai says, screw y'all, what are you going to do? You don't have another DT under contract. Not one that actually contributed last year. Sheldon Rankins is a free agent. Tim Settle's a free agent. You don't even know if you want to sign those guys. He was one of the heartbeats of the team. He was one of the best players on the defense. Nick Caserio said that. So why in the hell would Tommy Togiai not do that? Business is business. Danielle Hunter's made a crap ton of money. He's made a hell of a lot of money. Tommy Togiai was on a rookie deal that didn't work out, and he's played under the minimum his entire time. He was one of the foundational pieces of one of the best defenses in the league last year, and he was more than happy to play for a contract that Trent Brown got when he was hurt last year. And we'll talk about Trent Brown's new deal in a sec. I think that's a good deal. And I thought that was a good deal last year for Trent Brown. But why should Togiai even show up to anything? If this is the precedent, then do you, man? Do you? If this is how we're rolling, and if this is how we're doing business, do you? Make it happen. I am completely on board with Tommy Togiai doing that at this point. No problem with him. Grant Stevens says he may want to wait till after the draft. Why? They didn't wait till after the draft to extend Danielle Hunter. You think that if they don't have Tommy Togiai, that's going to help? I don't know about that. Grant's roasting the chat. What's wrong with the chat? I don't know. I'm not paying attention. Elaborate on the chat. Elaborate on the chat. TX_curse shooters says, problem is we restructure contracts for guys just to trade them the next year, creating dead cap. Structure contracts for guys just to trade them the next year, creating dead. I am concerned. I am concerned about a couple of things. I am really concerned about how this regime is going to function as things get harder and more difficult cap-wise. I am a little bit concerned about that. I just got in a discussion with my SNL co-host Cody Stoots on X about Tommy Togiai. I basically said what I just said. I would play hardball if I were Tommy Togiai, and Stoots said that if he were the organization, he would try to extend him right now. I think Nick and Cody are just very generous. They don't want bargains. Like Nick Caserio and Cody Stoots, they go to TJ Maxx and they see like the price tag where it says like originally $80 and it's $19.99, and they say, we want to pay the $80 instead of the $19.99. We want to pay the $80 instead of the $19.99. We'll just hand out some extensions. With that said, Cody Stoots looking confused.
Well, that's not what I said at all.
Well, you said you want to give him an extension.
Yeah, for 2027 and 2028.
Why? Don't you want to see?
Because he's going to be more expensive.
He might not be.
Well, then I wouldn't want to extend him if he's not.
You wouldn't want to extend him if he's not.
Yeah, you just said he might not be more expensive. Well, if he plays good, he's going to be more expensive a year from now.
Yeah, but if he just plays okay, then he's going to be the same price. I just
He'll
don't
be a free agent, and I want to move on from him.
Well, they won't. It's a defensive player. I just don't. I like the Danielle Hunter thing. I like that Danielle Hunter's back next year. It ended up looking good. It's just weird that they pushed it back.
Yeah, why can't Tommy get 2027 if Danielle can?
No, if I'm Tommy Togiai, I'm holding out. I'm holding out.
No, hell no. Go give me some money now.
No, I'm holding out until they give me money. Like my agent is calling and
we're talking about the same thing, getting Tommy more money.
No. I'm talking about from Tommy's point of view, I'm holding out. From the organization's point of view, I'm keeping the bargain. But I think you and the organization are a little bit more. It's two different things when you're talking contracts.
You want to rip up 2026 if you're Tommy Togiai?
Yeah, they set the precedent. I'm in my 20s. I've played on vet minimum. Like I am worth way more than $3 million. You're paying a guy that's made. Oh, how much has Danielle Hunter made? He's made over 100 million, right?
Easy.
Yeah. You're paying that guy another extension on top of an extension. I signed an extension with y'all. It's, by the way, Tommy Togiai signed the same contract as Trent Brown this year. Right. To put in perspective. So no. I'm saying from Tommy Togiai's perspective, I'm playing hardball. From the Texans' perspective, I'm expecting I'm doing.
Yeah, but if you're Tommy,
I'm rolling with the bargain.
If you're Tommy and I'm the Texans, why don't I just pay you some money in 2027, 2028?
Because we got a little bit more, right?
You get money. The Texans get a player under control for the next few seasons. Like, why couldn't I give you some money?
Because you don't have to. Why are we just handing out money? Like you haven't paid Will Anderson.
You just said he's a good player. You want him on the team.
Well, he's on the team. That's the other
2026. I'm trying to get him on the team for 2027 and beyond.
I want to see how he plays in 2026. Just like I wanted to see how Danielle Hunter held up last year before they gave me this extension and this year.
But if I'm the team and I want to see how he plays, then why would I give him any money in 2026? I already gave him money in 2026.
Yeah, I don't know what you're saying there.
But if you're saying I want to see how he plays, that's why I wouldn't do an extension, then why would I give him any more money than I've already given him?
That's a good question.
So why not just extend him if I think he's worth the money?
Because you already have him at a bargain.
But paying him in 27, paying him in 27 doesn't make 26 it more expensive.
This is completely opposite of what you've said with Jalen Petrie. Like I just don't like. I just want some consistency from you because this is the complete honest.
Different players at different positions, so I don't think that matters.
But it's the bargain. You're tearing up the bargain. That's
no. 2026 remains a bargain. 2027 is you don't have a deal with 2027.
Space Age says I'm playing devil's advocate. There's nothing devil's advocate about it. I'm saying I don't understand the Danielle Hunter extension, and if I'm Tommy Togiai, I'm holding out. And if I'm the Texans, then I would accept the bargain just like I would have accepted the bargain with Danielle Hunter. I'm being consistent here.
But why can't I get a bargain in 2027 and 2028 doing a deal now?
Because we don't know how he's going to play for 2 consecutive years.
Correct. But
that's not how negotiations work.
So Tommy Togiai wouldn't want 2027 and 2028?
Oh, he would want it.
Yeah, do it.
What would they do? That's the question. I mean, they've set the precedent, so they might do it.
They just paid Danielle 2027 before 2026 even happened. We don't know how good Danielle's going to be in 2027.
Jody Janke says, love Tommy. He's not Hunter, though. Yeah, he's younger. He doesn't have Will Anderson at his position. And he's playing for up to $3 million.
All the more reason to take care of 2027.
Yeah, I just don't. The Danielle Hunter thing is crazy. But yeah, obviously Tommy Togiai is not Danielle Hunter. It's not as expensive either. He's making up to $3 million. It doesn't even make sense. This isn't like a power ranking type of thing.
Yeah. I don't think anything you pay him in 27 doesn't change how good of a bargain he is in 26.
Yeah, I don't know how long it holds on. I don't know. Here's the thing, and you saw this. SNL, little late night. So I was after Caserio was walking off the stage at the combine, I told him, I was like, oh yeah, good job getting Tommy at a bargain. God knows if you hadn't done it, I would be ripping you. He goes, yeah, I know you'd be ripping the shit out of me. and I was giving him credit for getting the bargain. So this isn't like some hindsight. Like we have been very consistent in saying good job getting the bargain.
Yes. I'm trying to get a bargain in 27 now. Because if Tommy plays well in 26, he'll be a $10 million player in free agency a year from now.
So what's the number? What's a bargain?
Anything less than $10 million a year if he plays well. I mean, I'd see if he'd take 6 and 8 for the next 2 years after 26.
Okay. Xavier on the chat. Appreciate everyone on the chat. He says, dumb logic. Sometimes if you want bargain, you have to take a small risk based off of previous years. That seems like fake economics. Like, I don't even know. Like, what is that? Is that like the intermediate economics lesson? I don't get that. You have to take a small risk based off of previous years. They did that. They did that with Danielle. I don't get that. Sometimes if you want a bargain, you have to take a small risk. So sometimes you get a bargain, you get a bargain.
I think he's saying that he could be a bargain in 26 and then not be worth the money in 27 and 28, which is absolutely a possibility. But if he's not worth,
I'm in intermediate economics. I don't know.
Yeah, so like he's a bargain in 26 no matter what. That's established. If GM Cody Stoots paid Togiai in 27 and 28 and he wasn't worth it, then that was a failed risk that we took. The risk I'm willing to take is pay him and save money because you don't have to fight for him in free agency.
Yes,
because he has one good season right now. If he has 2 good seasons, a year from now, he's way more expensive than if I paid for 27 this year.
Yeah. So essentially what you're saying is, and this is where I think we're kind of getting tied up because we speak together so much. You're saying, and I'm basically saying, like, from Tommy Togiai's point of view, that he's good. He's going to be good for a few years. So get it while it's hot.
Yes.
It has nothing to do, because when you say, well, get it now or the price could go up, that's the same logic that was used with the Titus Howard extension, which was a disaster. That's the same logic that was used with Jalen Petrie extension, which looks good so far.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same logic that was used with the Danielle Hunter extension, which kind of looked good, and then you just decided to double down.
I believe the most likely outcome is Togiai puts a second good year together and is a much more expensive player in 27 if he plays out 26 with no contract going forward.
Correct.
That is my belief.
I believe that's about Tommy.
I believe that's the most likely outcome.
Now, let me ask you this. Would you have done the Hunter thing?
Fuck no. I'd have bought some offensive linemen, damn it.
Okay. So you're not just supporting every. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
There's probably 30 teams, not 30, probably that's big. There's probably 20 teams that would happily pay Danielle Hunter exactly what the Texans just paid him. But 18 of those teams have an offensive line that's worth the shit. So, I mean, this drastically adjusted what was on my shopping list. I went from Kraft to store brand cheese. I went from Coca-Cola and Dr. Pepper to, Big K and Dr. Thunder. Like, I'm going to get the same ingredients, but they're going to be less impressive ingredients, it feels like, because of Danielle Hunter.
I just don't know, like, at what point do they make tough decisions on defense? Because eventually you're going to have to do it. Unless just maybe they just write out CJ Stroud and all of a sudden they're like, have a cheap quarterback. But let's say CJ Stroud performs at a very high level this year. At what point do they make the tough decision? Like, the Chiefs just traded an all-pro corner.
Yeah. They got an expensive quarterback contract though.
No, I know. But they
also have a good O-line or good O-line men.
They just traded. At some point you have to make some tough decisions.
Sure.
Like the Bills had to trade Stephon Diggs. The Chiefs had to trade Tyreek Hill. When is this going to happen?
Is there a chance, instead of making a tough decision every offseason, is there a chance they're just going to make a bunch of tough decisions at once and just sort of try to retool all at once?
I felt like the Stingley extension today was
the restructuring.
The restructuring kind of made it possible to where you could trade him after 2 years and commit to Kamari Lassiter for perhaps a little bit cheaper. So maybe that is their chess vision. That goes through the final 2 years of the 5-year rookie contract with the extension of Will Anderson and CJ. So maybe that works, but I I just don't know when they make these tough decisions. Like, when is D'Amico going to say goodbye to a defensive player?
I wonder if like the Eagles offense is their defense. Like, the Eagles just paid everybody on offense. All the linemen, the quarterback, they paid a running back, then they paid the running back again. Both wide receivers are paid. Goddard was expensive last year. Like, they just paid everybody on offense. And then they've had some nice draft picks, but they've certainly had to kind of maneuver around some of the pieces on defense. And then they have some questions about some of these defensive players that they're going to be paying in the next couple of years. I wonder if the Texans version of that is just their defense. Just pay everybody. We'll just maneuver around it on offense. I don't believe that's a winning formula.
I think we can mark off the drink chess move of edge guy early now, though. At least, like, they pushed that back a little bit. They kind of kicked the can down the road of that. Oh, you think they still could take an edge guy?
No, I think Solomon Byrd better get ready to have another practice squad spot. They're going to need a guy that's been in the building. No, I mean, Danielle just. I thought for maybe, like, with Trent and maybe what they could spend in free agency, I was like, oh, like, maybe they could do something else at 28 or 38th in offensive linemen. Then they did this Danielle thing, and I'm like, well, back to the linemen.
Well, and also maybe you were right that Trent Brown is your they're hoping he's going to be the starting right tackle. Maybe that's why Caserio was so, like, passionate about the O-line, because he's basically like, we're running this bitch back.
Yeah, we're getting rid of Titus. We're going to go get a $4 million guard that sucked for 2 years, and we're going to have a rookie, and it's going to be awesome.
I'm serious, though. Who's Tommy Togiai's agent?
Call Aaron. He knows. Maybe.
What else? What else are they going to do with the restructures?
Hell, if they're just handing out money, if I had 1 year left on my contract, I'd be calling today. I mean, if I was Henry Toto, I'd be trying to get a deal.
It's a wild Henry Toto, really.
You're just handing out money. I have never heard of Tommy Togiai's agency or his agent.
Maybe he just doesn't care, man.
Maybe he doesn't care.
Maybe he's just thankful for the bread. Props to Danielle, man. If you can get it, you got it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think where this goes really bad, and I know you've mentioned it a couple of times, is if Danielle falls off. It feels like I feel fairly confident that you can get 2 more years out of Danielle Hunter where you're not thinking like, oh man, he's taking a big step back.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I mean, if anyone takes care of their body better than Danielle Hunter, I don't know who. So maybe that's the direction it goes. Who knows?
Yeah. That's where this really hurts, is like, hey, you miss on some linemen. Danielle, takes a step back. Like, that's when it really kind of compounds this was a mistake. But if he plays well for the next 2 seasons, which is for Danielle Hunter is double-digit sacks and plays every game. If he does that the next 2 years, he'll hold up his portion of the conversation. It's just, is the team going to hold up theirs where they have to kind of maneuver and pivot around paying him that much money?
On the chat, Himothy Jim 713 says City So extension coming soon.
I mean,
I'm surprised he's back next year.
They
bringing him back. So what if City So just ends up being a badass? What if City So ends up like winning the starting guard job, and King Cole just gets to come back and say, F y'all for all questioning me. Without those 5 plays, he wouldn't be where he's at. Will you kiss? I'll ask you this. If City So, I'm serious. If City So puts together a strong starting effort whether it's in a game or more, a strong starting effort in a game or more, will you kiss Cole Popovich's feet? I'm serious.
I'm not in the kissing people's feet business.
Will you kiss King Cole's feet?
Oh, I'm not. No, I got a lot of faith in Cole Popovich. I think me not making the bet shows how much faith I have in him.
This is an interesting question from Dustin Rodriguez. He says, "Is Hunter the best free agent signing in franchise history?" Jonathan Joseph's up there. I would say Jonathan Joseph is like a really strong free agent signing. Actually ended up, what made it even better was that there was a Asamoah movement, and that ended up not going too well for Philly. So I would say Hunter's the most expensive. You've had 2 Pro Bowl. I would say he's top 3. I think it's between him and Jonathan Joseph. You can argue amongst yourselves on that. But yeah, I would say yeah.
I believe
yeah.
I believe that yes, Danielle Hunter's right there with Jonathan Joseph, and today for me it feels like it's Danielle Hunter. Tomorrow I might tell you it's J-Joe, but yeah, it's very close between those 2.
Yeah, I would say it's between those 2, but yeah, you could make that case. That's really where a large chunk of the rookie contract bread that we talk about so often was used.
Yeah. Him and Aziz's money and Danico Autry. That didn't work out.
Why are you avoiding King Cole's feet? It's a good question from Brandon.
I'm not, because I believe in Cole Popovich. That's why. Because if anybody could turn City So into a guy that could give you 50 snaps on a random Sunday in September, it's Cole Popovich, damn it.
Double AGG says trade for Olu for a cheap starting center.
Trade for Olu for a cheap starting center.
Is that talking text or something?
Trade for Olu.
AG, if you can make it clearer in the chat, we'll read it. I don't know what you're saying.
I wonder. Andrews is cheap. He just for most people he's not good enough. I do wonder if they feel like Trent Brown can start and they like some of these rookies. I do wonder if they may go with a veteran center. It's been a little bit lower on my ideal list, but there's some cost efficient veteran centers that would, in most people's eyes, be an upgrade over Andrews. Cade Mays is the name from the Panthers, gets thrown out a lot. Posich from the Browns is a name that's a free agent.
Is he talking about Olu from the Jets?
Well, the Jets aren't trading any of their offensive linemen.
They trade their offensive lineman after franchise tagging Brees Hall. That would be very Jetsy, but maybe I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt.
That's the one thing about their offensive line the one thing about their team they really like is their offensive line.
Texans takeover. Friend of the program. He says, I feel like this is uberly pessimistic. It's just kind of what it is. It's what it's been last year. I like bargains. Like I don't go to TJ Maxx and say, hey, I want to pay what this is at what the price is at a normal retail. This was a $14 hoodie. I think the original price at TJ Maxx was $35. I didn't go through the aisle and say, hey, charge me $35 instead. When I get a bargain, I like to take advantage of it. And they just doubled down on them. They're setting up to do the same thing they did a year ago in free agency on the offensive line. Danielle Hunter got the extension after trading the offensive line.
And that didn't work. So, yeah, I am pessimistic about the plan as I see it now. Now, if the plan is different come Monday and Tuesday, my reaction will be adjusted as such. The center he was talking about, he clarified, was the Seahawks backup center, Olu Oluwatimi.
Okay.
I don't know nothing about Olu Oluwatimi.
No idea.
I would think that they would probably just stick with Jake Andrews versus trading for someone's backup center. Now, free agent upgrade, certainly.
Yep. Props to Danielle Hunter, man. Someone said, one of the over the cap guys, one of Texans Caps colleagues said something like, called Danielle Hunter the edge rushing Kirk Cousins, which I think is very disrespectful.
Yeah, because Kirk Cousins is not going to finish in the quarterback pantheon
with like a Hall of Fame like case
from like a statistic standpoint. Like there, it's like Danielle has the opportunity to get to 150 plus sacks and be very high on the all-time sacks board, especially if he continues to be an above age performer.
I did not even fathom that. And maybe there's
we talked about it today. We kind of dismissed it.
Yeah, we kind of dismissed it. And Cap actually said it in February.
Hey, bro, Alpha Aaron.
Someone had said that Aaron had said it in his chat, but I don't. Maybe I'm just not hip to it. I don't recall too many times where, and you can help me. I'm sure there's examples, and I have localized lenses on all the time. I don't know too many examples where a team gives a guy an extension, a high extension, like a high priced extension, with 1 year left on a pretty high price contract. And then heading into that season, they give him another one, like on top of it. I don't know too many examples of it. Maybe I'm just don't pay as close attention.
I wonder, I mean, like, what was, I understand the franchise tag is fully guaranteed, but like, what was the franchise tag these past 2 years? Like, it's probably a little bit cheaper, actually.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit close. Like it's basically 2 franchise tags.
If this was a real possibility, why didn't he get a 2-year extension last year?
I think it's because you're the same reason that there was like a little bit of hesitation about the extension, because maybe you're going to have to pay your quarterback. Maybe you're going to have to pay Will Anderson. The Nico deal is going to kick in. The Stingley extension kicks in this year, and he's in his 30s, regardless of how much of a physical specimen and physical freak he is. So you don't want to do it. So that was probably the risk. Now, it's the same risk. Does 1 more year of ball just eliminate that risk, or does the risk still kind of stay there? The answer is yes to both. So,
I mean, obviously, I very strongly believe if CJ was getting a contract, Danielle would not have got this deal.
So you think if if they were planning on giving CJ the bag, then
no Danielle.
Yeah, because likely CJ's on what's the deadline for 5th-year extensions?
Oh, I think it's somewhere in May.
Yeah, so they'll have to pick up. Well, hell, who knows? What if they don't? Then that would be crazy. That would actually be really bad business.
May 1st is the 5th-year option.
Yeah, so you got to pick up the 5th-year option, even if you plan on moving on.
Stroud is projected to make $25.9 million on the 5th-year option.
That's a deal. Even for what he did last year, 25 is a deal.
And then Will Anderson's projected to make 21.5 on the 5th-year option.
Damn.
Yeah, but that 5th-year option for him, he'll get some signing bonus money when he signs his extension. So it's, yes, I think that like that'll be close to maybe the number, but he'll have money already have come in before then.
Yeah, and I think there's also kind of confusion about clearing up cap space. Like it's basically pushing back the bills eventually hit you. Sometimes you find yourself in like a dire cap situation when you do this.
Which the Eagles
cap savings is not wiping away, like it pushes back.
Right. Well, that's the thing. It's like, oh, they opened up, whatever it is with this year with the cap. Yeah. Okay. That's great. If you want to sign a 1-year offensive lineman, that was not what I was thinking they were going to do. I thought they'd make a multi-year investment at the offensive line.
Yeah.
And now I adjust it down a little bit. I changed my shopping list. Hey, we're not eating steaks. Okay. We're going to go to, some pork tenderloin, maybe some chicken thighs, no more steaks.
I would go, I'm going to set a new precedent. I want to start thinking forward like Nick Caserio. So here's what I'm going to do. Since we're so generous here, here's what I'm going to do with Will Anderson. I'm going to tell Will Anderson, hey, Will, we're not going to pick up your 5th-year option. Instead, we're going to franchise tag you for a year, and then we're going to give you a mega contract.
We really want to take care of you.
We're going to give you the take care of you. By the way, James says that pork tenderloins suck.
Yeah.
That's
James,
a bad food take.
Thanks for making my point for me. If you think pork tenderloins suck, wait till you watch Wyatt Teller play a season of football at right guard for the Houston Texans, buddy.
I do agree with James on this. I don't agree with a lot of James because it changes from there's a lot going on there. I'm sure we'll see him at Spanky's next week. We want to see y'all there too. Sharpstown, free agent frenzy Friday. But pork tenderloin is one of the most overrated, like expensive foods in the game.
Where are you getting expensive pork tenderloins?
Pork tenderloin's pretty expensive when you go to a restaurant.
Oh, hell, I ain't ordering pork tenderloin at a restaurant.
That's what I'm talking about. When you go to a restaurant, I'm talking about a restaurant.
Oh, you get what you deserve.
It's not good anywhere, but he is right.
Yeah, well, congrats. You're going to watch pork tenderloin play left guard and right guard for the Texans this year.
Also, scallops, overrated. I don't get it.
They are pretty pricey.
Duck, don't get it.
I just and even this
don't get it.
Like crab, lobster, just give me shrimp. I like shrimp. I think shrimp is usually worth its money wherever you are. And I don't like the work associated with lobster and crab and just give me shrimp.
Yeah, shrimp's better than scallops.
Yeah, give me shrimp.
Scallops suck.
Yeah, not a scallops guy.
Scallops suck. Scallops suck. Now we're on the food thing. RO asks Chicago or New York City hot dogs. I don't know the difference. I guess is it mustard or I don't. What's the difference?
Doesn't Chicago put a lot of crap on theirs?
I don't know. Just give me the hot dog with the mustard, relish, and ketchup, or maybe like an occasional chili dog. But if you're putting like sauerkraut and all that crap, no, thank you.
They have like they put like a pickle spear on it or something, and like some raw onions. I don't really know what it's on a Chicago dog.
Yeah, who knows?
I'm a hot dog simplest. Simpleton.
Just say simp.
Simpleton.
Costco hot dogs, goat.
Oh, ain't nothing better than going around bulk buying with a dog and a drink for less than $2.
Costco, goat hot dogs, no doubt about it. Oh, pickle. Some people have like the pickle spear in the hot dog.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Why? Just relish, man. But you just eat it plain, so.
That's not what I do.
I thought you said you did.
I eat it with cheese.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, even worse.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, man.
You done with me?
No, if you want to hang around, you can. I just thought I didn't know how if you had somewhere to be. If you want to go to the Blitz, we can go to the Blitz.
No, I'm gonna go finish up writing for Houston football. We got some new stuff coming in the morning.
Oh yeah, we're going to Danielle Hunter.
Yeah, I've discovered the one thing the Texans won't do.
Invest in the offensive line.
No, they've tried that before. Just how they invest. The one thing they won't do.
I do think that there's a portion of the fan base. I don't blame them, but I think there is like whenever these extensions happen, it's like, oh yeah, well Danielle Hunter's back. It's like, well, he was back anyway.
Yeah, he's back for next year. He was going to be here for 2026, and now his coming back for 2027 has affected your ability to improve 2026.
Yep. All right, there we go. All right, appreciate you, man.
See ya.
All right, it's Cody Stoots. SNL tomorrow at 4. We'll get more into this as it kind of shapes up, and who knows? They might make another move. They made a few moves today, and they did that. So there we go. Danielle Hunter extension, cool. I mean, good player. Just when are the tough decisions going to be made? You've made the decisions on the offensive line. I thought those were good. How are they going to handle it when they have to make tougher situations? Is Danielle Hunter going to continue to bitch slap Father Time the way he has? I looked forward to seeing him on the team next year. They're 1-0 when it comes to extensions for Danielle Hunter, so maybe they go 2-0. But it's always the same risk when an extension is given. And it's a double risk when you've already given the guy an extension. You know, some people say, well, the price might go up if you don't do it now. And some people say, well, you let him play out. I think it kind of depends on the player. But again, if I'm Tommy Togiai, playing hardball there. So there we go. Will Anderson's going to be next. We'll see how that bread goes. And Danielle Hunter kind of pushing that back. This definitely changes the draft a little bit, where edge, you now have Hunter and Anderson under contract for the next 2 years, so you don't necessarily have to worry about that. The interior, you still just have Tommy Togiai under contract, and then you see how it goes. But I've seen them give worse contracts, and I've been wrong about extensions too. It really just matters. The Petrie extension, I don't know how much more or less it would have been. I don't know how it's going to age, but it ended up being a good move by them. They're going to invest on defense. They want to pay Jalen Petrie top 3, top 5 nickel. Cool. That ended up being fine. The Titus Howard was insane when they did that. And then you saw George Fant in 2023 fill in more than admirably. So that didn't look good. And then the first Danielle Hunter, I think it ended up looking good, and we'll see what happens here. So that's where they're at when it comes to the defense. And this is defensive minded squad, so why not invest in it? So that's what they're going to do. That's how they're going to roll. And if anyone's going to be able to continue to smack around Father Time, probably Danielle Hunter. Some other stuff that they did today. And by the way, again, I brought it up with Cody. We'll be at Spanky's Sharpstown next Friday for Friday Free Agent Frenzy. We'll know what they did in free agency. And then 2 weeks later, the 27th, less than a month away from the draft. So we'll be draft heavy. The complete draft, 100% all-in coverage is going to begin, obviously, after free agency, which is a few days from now, and is shaping up to be very interesting. Next week is when stuff shapes up. And I got a feeling they're not done yet when it comes to what decisions they're going to make and all that. But next week is when things will really shape up on free agency. There'll probably be some mad people about the offensive line, but that's where they go. Cody brought it up. Did the CJ Stroud meltdown factor into the Hunter extension volume 2? Like, if CJ Stroud goes out there and balls out, and let's say the Texans go to the Super Bowl. I don't think they beat Seattle, but let's say they get to the Super Bowl. Do you think that they're giving Danielle Hunter a second extension? Kind of makes you think. Perhaps not. What is the Texans plan next week? Is it going to be the same? Because this is literally Groundhog Day this year. This is the other thing. And I didn't really care about, I wasn't as pissed about the offensive line stuff as a lot of people were. But last year, you trade an offensive lineman, and then you give Danielle Hunter an extension, and then your offensive line signings last year were Trent Brown, a little later on in the process, Jake Andrews, Laken Tomlinson. Those are the guys you signed on the offensive line. Gonna run that back? Who are they running it back with? Is there going to be like a version of Laken Tomlinson? Last year, Laken Tomlinson was up to $5 million. I think Jake Andrews got $3 million, and Trent Brown got up to $3 million. So that was 5, 8, 11. Oh, by the way, you invested in Hunter. You invested in C.J. Gardner-Johnson, not so much for the trade, but you kind of had his salary and then move that around a little bit. Maybe they're just going to go offense in the draft. They're going to try to stay young. Don't know. Today they re-signed Trent Brown, which this was originally going to be the show, but I'm actually happy they signed Danielle Hunter. It made it a little bit more relevant. As far as the Trent Brown extension, I thought it was a good extension. I think it's a fine extension. It's up to $7 million. It goes from up to 3 to up to 7. You're playing with house money. Now, the question is, do they think that Trent Brown is going to be like a starting tackle? Like that kind of feels a little bit dangerous. To assume that Trent Brown is going to be a starting tackle feels a little bit dangerous. But bringing him back, cool. I've always said, like, I wish you could have like a Madden simulator in real life, and you could turn off injuries. I think Trent Brown would be beyond valuable. How much would that be worth? If you could turn off injuries and you could have exactly what Trent Brown was when he was in the lineup last year, how much would that be worth? But you got it for up to $7 million. No one else knew about it. You just had to, you could just turn off the injuries and Trent Brown play. That's probably like 25 mil, right? 20? I don't know. I was surprised how he looked. It's weird watching him move around now. But Trent Brown, he did his thing last year. And that was going to be the big move. They made the bigger move with the Danielle Hunter remix. Good on them. They also restructured Stingley. I thought this was interesting. The last 2 years are kind of tradable. We talk about tough decisions. It's a 4-year extension. The first 2 years, it's a lot of money. The next 2 years, 20 and 10, I think is the hit. What if Kamari Lassiter, when he's up for an extension, you decide, much like the Chiefs have a couple of times, you let the 27-year-old go, and you roll with Kamari Lassiter as the cornerback who might be a cheaper option, and maybe you've developed someone at that point. I don't know. I'm just looking at the way the structure is. That's way down the line. We don't really have to think that far ahead. Quite frankly, by then they might have a quarterback on a rookie deal. It really is all about the quarterback. The quarterback thing kind of changes. It kind of changes. Blue Boy 9 on the chat says they're moving money around for a reason. If it's not to get, I think you mean O-line and free agency, then fire Caserio immediately. I believe we're set at tackle. They've got to fix that. You think they're set at tackle? Damn. So you think they're set at tackle with Ursery and Trent Brown? You think Trent Brown's ready to be a starter with Blake Fisher as his backup? Yikes. That would be awesome if you're right. Now, by set, do you mean that they're good, or do you mean that they feel they're set? I don't know. Set would be tough. I think you probably, they don't want Blake Fisher to be a play away. They did everything they could last year to kind of avoid that. And Big Trent, I like Big Trent, but I don't know about set. But yeah, you have to move money around to get below the cap so that you can actually function. I don't know what the nerdy ass term is with that Cap uses, but there. Man, James says he wants to come in and talk shit. Let's listen to this dude. I'll drop the link. The link's in there if anyone wants to chat. James is just gonna have his picture. It's gonna be like a dot. I think James has like a NFL sheets on his bed. I think that's what he told me. He has like NFL sheets on his bed, and he has like posters of like not even, and then he has like toys. He doesn't have like he has like those anime like sports toys in his room, so he don't want anyone to see that. So he's gonna talk on the thing if he wants to talk trash. He told me to drop a link. I dropped the link. But the elite franchises, as we see, they're pretty proactive. They're pretty proactive and they're being pretty aggressive. Now, I don't know if you still consider Buffalo and Kansas City elite. I think you probably should. You'd probably say that Kansas City had a down year. They're making moves. They're trying to get younger. That's what Kansas City's doing. They might not have a choice because the Bills, but they're making moves. They're trying to get younger. And the Bills, they traded for DJ Moore. I don't know what that means for them. He had a couple of really good years with Joe Brady. They need a receiver. They're really thin. And they needed to make a move. So is that a good move? I don't know. I think the biggest complaint with Bills fans is that the guaranteed bread. But if DJ Moore does for the Bills what he did his couple of seasons with Joe Brady, then I mean that's a big need for Buffalo. And it could open up some stuff for some of their other guys. So the elite franchises, they're making moves. And how does this impact AJ Brown? Like, is that a starting price when it comes to AJ Brown? I don't know. Does the contract get factored in? Like, what if AJ Brown ends up on an AFC contender? Like, what if AJ Brown ends up in like Kansas City or he ends up in New England, like with Mike Vrabel? Remember Mike Vrabel in the draft room in New England? What if AJ Brown ends up there? All right, James wants to talk shit. James is always talking shit. He's always arguing with people in the chat. He wants to talk. Look at him. I bullied him in the show in his room. Where are them toys at, dude?
No toys and no NFL sheets. All right.
He's got an Anderson jersey above his bed. No one. Love you. Look at that. The first thing he sees when he goes to bed, and
you hate the Anderson trade. I don't know why.
And the first thing there.
Hold on.
What do you want to talk about, dude?
Why are you so? Because what's your problem with Danielle Hunter? Because you didn't like the original extension either.
I have no problem with Danielle Hunter. I think he's a really good player, and I thought the first extension was risky, and it ended up working out for him. And then my confusion is why do it a second time? I don't understand
because he's an elite player.
Reasoning. He's in his 30s. You're going to have to say goodbye to elite players. You're going to have to pay Will Anderson. Don't know if you're going to have to pay CJ or not. Maybe that has a little bit more to do with it. And I also said if I'm Tommy Togiai, I'm holding out. I agree
with that. I think that I don't agree with Cody. I think that Hunter gets an extension regardless. He just had the best season of his career.
But he already got the extension, you know?
No, another year on it.
Okay, but my whole thing is what if he would have gotten hurt, or what if he wouldn't have had a great year? Then the Texans guaranteed him money. So now we're just going to say, okay, here we go. It's a weird precedent to set. And there's times where you're probably
second team All Pro, you probably get a contract extension. I think that's a good precedent.
Well, he already got it. Like they gave it to him. Like they agreed to it, and then you give him another one. That's a tough thing. So what happens when?
Why is it tough? I don't understand. And also, like I think, and it also
it's tough because now if another player sees this and another player you have on like a bargain deal, because the good teams are going to have guys on bargain deals. How are you gonna be able to stand on anything? Like if it happens, like why would Tommy Togiai play on a deal up to $3 million next year? Why? What's the point?
Why would he play? Because he signed the contract. That's why he has to play.
And Danielle Hunter signed the contract. He signed an extension.
You think Danielle Hunter wouldn't have played this year if they didn't give him an extension?
I don't know if he would have or not, but he got an extension. I don't know.
Come on, bro.
Oh, you're making stuff up. I'm saying I wouldn't play if I'm Tommy Togiai. I don't know whether Danielle Hunter would or not. Danielle Hunter got an extension. For some reason, they gave him another one. I don't get it.
What do you mean for some reason? He's a good. Okay, first of all, I think that you think that he's gonna fall off. I think that's like the subtle, like insinuation you're making.
Falls off or not? It's just at what point do they? When do they make a tough decision? Like when do they have to make a tough decision? Like I
understand that, but like this shouldn't be the tough decision they make.
Okay, but it's just always it's just all going to be defense. Maybe this is about CJ. Maybe they're not even planning on CJ. Maybe they realize, okay, there's a line in the sand and it's not going to be a lot. And I think that's fine. But he was going to be on the team regardless. And if you make that decision with CJ, then you could have figured it out a little bit later. I just don't understand the extension. This isn't me saying Danielle Hunter shouldn't be on the team. He's on the team no matter what. He was going to be on the squad.
I'm not saying that's what you're saying.
That's what it turns into, where people are like, well, Danielle, yeah, he's good. That's why he's back. That's why they did it. They did a good job the first time. And maybe they do it. Maybe it looks good the second time. It looks the same.
I think this is a good precedent in the sense of the D line should always be the focus, in my opinion. I think over secondary, over linebackers, trenches on both sides should be the priority. And also, this shouldn't stop them from signing some sort of big name free agent, on the O line, because it frees up maybe for some long term thing. But I just read a bunch of things saying that they have more cap space now, so they can still Kevin Zeitler for a year.
It goes up to 14. They pay some stuff to. They have to pay they have to clear up space to be able to function. So yeah.
So this doesn't stop them from getting O linemen.
It's the same thing they did last year, though. I mean, if you look at it, it's the exact same thing they did last year, where they traded.
And it worked out, no?
Huh?
And it worked out.
I guess. I mean, did you like what they did in free agency on the O line?
No, I didn't like it, but But do you think Hunter was the reason why they weren't able to do the O line? Because I feel like that's what people are saying, right? Because I see the comment a lot, they're doing this, but it's gonna stop them from doing O line. No, you can do the O line and you can do this. You just have to do a good job.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Why is this restricted? Why is this restricting anything that Nick Caserio does?
We'll see. I mean, it's just the same thing that he did last year, and it just feels similar. We'll see.
And then one other thing, the Trent Williams. I feel like there's so many other people that are against Trent Williams because they think that no, if Trent Williams is actually available, they should do that.
That's a no-brainer. But I mean, the biggest problem with that is the if. Shanahan's goes back to the Washington days with him. 49ers kind of fall off when he's out.
He's still an elite player, but
he's one of them. Comparing his age.
Well, my whole life, he's been the GOAT, the best tackle in the league. It's just been Trent Williams. So I would love for him to be in Houston, but
he lives here. He lives here and he trains here. So if that does happen, it's going to be one of his preferred destinations.
Right. I've my whole life growing up, Trent Williams was just the standard. So I would love for, and if he was 45 and still playing in Iowa, I wouldn't be surprised.
He wants to play for a while.
But it doesn't stop them. But people think that if we get Williams and move Ursary, it stops them from investing on the O-line. Why? They could still draft O-line in the first round and develop them. And then you have Trent Williams to look up to and have a mentor. So I just think
he's a Pro Bowler. So you can make guys better. He's good.
The Lakeland Tomlinson failure is so crazy. All right, man.
Yeah. All right. I'll let you go pray to Will Anderson over there above.
Nah, man.
All right, man. I'll see you.
All right. It's signed, by the way. Signed by him.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Very nice.
Yeah, I got it at an open practice.
There you go.
I got the CJ one up still too, but I might have to.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. He still got the CJ. Okay, that's why you're so emotional.
I've sold all my stock.
That's why you're so emotional and all up and down on CJ. Y'all go to bed together. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's James. He's our guy. He's always at Spanky's, man. He will debate anyone and everyone. We're talking about the Texans active day. Space Age 713 says Landry. You're on it today, Space Age. Shout out to you, my friend. He says Landry again. Trent's 38, Hunter's 31, but you don't have the same energy for Trent. It's not even the same tax bracket, sir. It's Trent Brown sounded. Are you talking Trent Williams? Yeah, Trent Williams fills a massive need on the offensive line. It's completely different. You don't have with Danielle Hunter. This is if I haven't made this clear, I apologize. With Danielle Hunter, you have Will Anderson. And Will Anderson is eventually going to be the face of the franchise. And you already have an elite defense. And he's already on the team next year. Danielle Hunter is already on the team next year. Your offense is a disaster. You bring in Trent Williams. There's a big impact there. And he's still an elite player like Danielle Hunter. It's not the same situation. So that's the energy. The energy is the Texans offense is a problem. You bring in the best left tackle in the game. He helps your offense. Danielle Hunter's already on the team. You're pushing it back another year. It's really simple. It's not the same situation. So yeah, if I had that same energy, that would be weird because it's not the same situation. So that's all that that's all I'm saying. I think Danielle Hunter's a great player. Danielle Hunter made me eat crow on the original extension. We'll just see what happens when it comes to that. What would Trent Williams' compensation be like in a trade? They would probably try to get it 2 and more. I mean, I'm not saying whether that would be right or wrong, but the Texans have 2 second-round picks. They would definitely try to get that one of those, and they would definitely try to get more than that. And they also know that the Texans are kind of generous. Like, that's the other thing when we talk about precedent. Like, just be serious. Like, even the ones that are going to praise Nick Caserio no matter what, which is great. I like the ride or die. I'm not knocking it. But if you just be serious, if you were, let's say that anyone in the chat gets a GM job. Appreciate everyone for rolling with me late at night. If you were calling, seriously, if you were calling to negotiate a trade with Nick Caserio, be honest, how much you asking? Like, how much you asking? You know his reputation when it comes to trades. You're going to ask as high as possible. And you're probably going to push back a little bit more because you know that for the most part, you can get your way, right? Like there's certain, like I don't know, like if you ask someone for something and you know they're very generous, you're probably going to be a little bit more pushy. Now, if you know someone's a firm negotiator, like you're not calling Howie Roseman and the Eagles and saying, hey, give me a 2, 3, 5, and that's where we're starting. And then you're pushing back. But with Nick Caserio, like, let's be serious. That when Nick Caserio walks into a car dealership, whew, my God. That I feel bad for the janitor at the car dealership when Nick Caserio walks in there. Because there's blood on the floor from people fighting to make him their customer, and there's a bunch of drool on the floor from everybody initially drooling when they first see him pull up. Nick Caserio. Woo! Imagine negotiating with him. So to answer the question, I would say they probably ask for a 2 and more for Trent. But the biggest hurdle and perhaps the most unrealistic hurdle is Kyle Shanahan's not going to get rid of Trent Williams. It would have to be like a dire situation. A very dire situation. I like Caserio fine. I'll criticize Caserio when I need to criticize Caserio. I worry about how it is going to age. Like we're talking about age with Danielle Hunter. He ages like a fine wine. Like he's kicked Father Time's ass. But there's a lot of really good players you have to say goodbye to. But he's kicked Father Time's ass. D'Amico and Caserio have had the luxury since their relationship has started where they've had the most, like the offseason that D'Amico Ryans got here. The Texans literally had the most draft equity in the league. They had the most cap space in the league. And that's kind of how they've been able to function for a few years. So I just wonder, like, if it inevitably happens to where they have to function different, I wonder what that's like. Like, is the cost of just throwing around draft picks and throwing around money and throwing around extensions, are they able to make it do what it do and make it work? They're probably just going to have to get the offense right. Or they're just going to have to go all in on defense, and they're going to have a quarterback that doesn't wet the bed and choke the way that CJ Stroud did. I don't look at this like the last angle that I look at this at. And I'm going to bring this back to like some of the messages that I was getting. Got a couple emails and messages. Like I don't look at CJ Stroud as a victim of this situation. I don't really look at CJ Stroud as a victim here. Like I think CJ Stroud had a good enough team around him to have competed for a Super Bowl last year. I really do. Because the defense was elite. And I think the defense being elite kind of gets minimized. It's like, well, CJ Stroud doesn't have this on offense. Okay, well, but he has a defense that, is holding opposing teams to less than 20 points a game and turning the ball over. And, I don't look at him as a victim in this. And I had someone, probably it's one of those that probably sent 8 straight messages about CJ Stroud. And there were a couple of things that kind of stuck out about it. One of them was, if CJ Stroud wins the Super Bowl, are you going to, do you think, are you going to have less confidence in him? Because I was talking about things that I currently have confidence in. And my question is, what kind of question is that? What kind of question is that? If he wins a Super Bowl, am I going to have less confidence in him? No, I'm not married to either line of thinking when it comes to CJ Stroud. When CJ Stroud plays awesome, we'll say he plays awesome. When he plays great, we'll say he plays great. When there's a gray area on a bad game, we'll touch on the gray area. When there's a gray area on a good game, we'll touch on that. Warning signs, don't ignore in victory, which you would not ignore in defeat. We'll do all that. So the analysis and the thought of CJ Stroud is based on performance. It's based on performance. And you try to balance it with everything else that goes on with it. The best thing that you hear with the CJ Stroud stuff is you didn't have this same energy in 2023. No shit. Why would you? Yeah, when it's 2023, everybody was on it. Of course. It was a historic season, of course. But in the words of one of my mentors, Jean-Jacques Taylor, sports are fluid. So of course you didn't have, if you have the same energy right now about CJ Stroud that you had in 2023, you're treating him like a relative. You're taking this a little bit too crazy. If you want to ride and die with the players, that's fine, but don't project those emotions onto people who are actually basing this thing on performance and not getting overly emotionally attached. That's crazy. Well, you didn't have this energy in 2023. No kidding. And I think that's the difference when it comes to a lot of the talk about CJ Stroud. I think there's a middle ground. Yes, CJ Stroud can get better. Yes, CJ Stroud is young. Yes, CJ Stroud choked last year. Yes, there's a lot of questions about the makeup of CJ Stroud right now. And yes, he had a really, really good year in 2023. Although a lot of the excuses that you make for CJ Stroud now in 2025, they don't really stack up when you look at 2023 if you think about it. Well, he was learning a new system. What was he doing in 2023? He wasn't running Bobby Slowick's offense at Ohio State. Well, his offensive line is not that good. Was it really that good in 2023? Well, it's Bobby Slowick's fault. Oh, now it's Nick Caley's fault. It just feels like the goalpost moves. And that is the difference. This is the battle when it comes to talking about the quarterback. This is the battle. And this is the difference. And I'm not judging, I'm just saying this is the difference. I watch ball, I don't ride balls. That's not what I do. I get no satisfaction out of that. I watch ball, I don't ride balls. I've been in media 20 years. These guys don't give a shit about me, and I cover them as fair as possible. If you play good, I'm going to say you played good. If you played bad, I'm going to say you played bad. That's it. But even if you're a fan, if you have the exact same energy for CJ Stroud now that you had post 2023, then you probably thought that David Johnson was going to be awesome after they traded DeAndre Hopkins for him. You probably thought that David Culley could maybe surprise some people. You probably thought that Brock Osweiler was going to be the next big thing. And the list could go on and on. But there's a difference between ball riding and ball watching. Keep that same energy. My energy is based on performance, and it always will be. So with the relatives, yes, my sister, my wife, my daughter, yes, I'm going to ride and die. The energy is going to remain the same. But the athletes don't expect much from me. I don't expect much from them. So there's a big difference between ball watching and ball riding. That's my TED Talk. Let's go to Z chat.
Swarm.
St. Louis Rebel says, I just don't get putting together an elite defense to put a mediocre offense out there. It's counterproductive. I hope they invest in offense next week. Rebel, appreciate you as always. Yeah, I mean, that's the wonder. This feels like kind of a one-sided operation. It feels kind of similar to what last year's offseason was. And you just hope that the quarterback can elevate his play, and you also hope that the young guys that they have on offense, they continue to get better. I would take the exact same that you got from Woody Marks last year, but Jalen Knoll and Jaden Higgins, they're going to have to be better. They're going to have to be much better. And if they can make the leap, the day two guys from the 2025 draft, Higgins, Knoll, Ursery, if they can make the leap that Lassiter and Bullock made, where they were both Pro Bowlers, they were reserves, but they played good enough to be Pro Bowlers on the original selection. If that can happen, then this might change everything. And maybe that's what they're banking on. But there is concern at the O-line. Like if Trent Brown can stay in there the whole time, cool. That's a big if. Massive if. Over 400-pound if. But yeah, that's just what it feels like. Who would I take in the draft? You got to go O-line. I'll go back to Cody on that. It's shaping up like this eliminates edge as a possibility. I would consider McDonald out of Ohio State. I don't know how they look at him, how they think. They probably have strong thoughts on it, but if we're just going all in on defense at this point, then I would take McDonald and maybe just go heavy offense again on day two. I also think it would be cool if you could have the same situation last year where Jackson Dart was available, although they didn't get a quarterback tax. Because Caserio, easy to negotiate, we already talked about. And you Ty Simpson, like someone falls in love with Ty Simpson in the first round, you can trade back and get even more picks, even more young talent. I think that would be cool. But the guys that I like Caden McDonald on defense, if they're just going to completely go all in on that. And then you guys know who all the offensive linemen are. That's real. P says, but you have to hope Kaylee is better. Yeah, he has to be better too. That's a fact. If I left that out, I promise. I apologize for that. Yeah, that's a definite. Yeah, we got concerns about him. We talk about Nick Caserio a lot. Nick. A lot of Nicks here. And maybe John Carroll Jerry is a huge upgrade over Gerard Johnson. Who knows? Shout out to everyone in chat. Vince, appreciate you for coming through, my friend. Enjoy work. Thanks for coming through. Thanks for coming to Spanky's last time. We'll be there again next Friday. I know the hike was long for Vince. Maybe we'll see you at the draft, my friend. Appreciate you for rolling through. That Falcons trade, yeah, that is wild. Brandon brings up. Yeah, that Falcons trade was crazy. They traded their first, and they traded a guy who probably shouldn't play in the NFL again. And the Rams got a top 15 man. The Rams are going to have a round and take Sadiq, and they're just going to go heavy tight end. Watch Love fall to the Rams. Watch that happen. That would be even more sickening. They're just going to prolong Matthew Stafford as much as possible. They might go O-line. Who knows? Who knows? It's fun, man. It's active. Regardless of where you sit, this is a fun time. And as I always say, when it comes to this stuff, we're all in it together. We really are. It's been a fun one. It's been an active one. It's about to get even more active in a few days, free agency. It's shaping up. Like the vision is clear. I thought I was going to come on here and talk about Trent Brown and Stingley restructuring. I'll be damned. Danielle Hunter. Congratulations to him. Hell of a player. Just don't know what the hell they're doing when it comes to the bread. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. Always remember, it's all love. When it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. I cannot believe James sleeps next to Will Anderson and CJ Stroud. It's crazy.
Takeaways, if it's up, then it's up. We number one. You don't need to try your luck. yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too.